Hi there, this is a quick video to help you with your project. I'm going to show you how to use Google Sheets to create a histogram, find the mean and standard deviation, and a 5-number summary. And your project has the data stored either in Excel, actually a CSV file, or text file, or Tinkerplots. So what I'm doing is I'm opening up an Excel file. Now this isn't the actual data that you need to deal with, but this is the one I'm going to use for this demonstration. So what I want to do is I want to take this and copy it, and then I'm going to open up my drive, and then I'm going to open up a new Google Sheets file, and then I'm just going to go ahead and paste the information here. Now I find that this particular data set that I'm using is kind of long, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the female information and then move it alongside with the males. So what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to highlight the female, the first female block over here, it's 11.2, but I'm going to scroll down to the last female here, and I'm going to shift. While I'm holding in my shift key, I'm going to click on the female, but actually I want to include the rest of the data as well, so I'm going to copy all that. Alright, now I'm going to cut this and then paste it next to the males. So I'm going to Control X for cut, and then I'm going to scroll all the way back up and then paste it right next to this data set. And so I have the male and female side by side. Now that's just going to make things a little bit easier for me when I paste my my histograms, and I want the histograms pretty close to each other. So okay, so let's first make a histogram for the males. I'm going to again click on that first data point for males, and I'm going to scroll down to see where my last data point is. My last data point is here. Now I'm going to hit shift again before I click on 14.5 here. Shift and then click, and then that would highlight everything. So while everything is highlighted, I'm going to go ahead and insert my histogram. Insert chart, and then they give you recommendations, and the first recommendation is histogram. Okay, that's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this, and then I'm going to be doing some customizing later on just so that the histograms will look comparable when I compare it to the females. So here's my first histogram, and maybe I'll just change the title here to male elbow diameter. Oops, maybe I should press enter. Press enter, and here we go. Now I want to do the same for females, so again I'm going to highlight the data set. I'm going to click on the first one instead of trying to click and drag, since there's a lot of data sets and I have to scroll. I'm going to just scroll to the last point, and I'm going to hit shift again so that I can highlight everything. I'll click on this last number, and now everything should be highlighted. Alright, I'm going to insert chart, and then again the recommendation is the histogram, so I'll press insert, and I'll just, for the sake of not confusing them, I'll have my female elbow diameter. Alright, so now I have these two, and if I put them kind of side by side-ish and on top of each other, I see that, this goes from 9.9 to 15.3, this goes 12.5 to 16.75. So what I want, let me see, let's get rid of this legend just so it's out of the way. It's not that big of a deal, but let me just clear that out so I can try to maximize my space here. So we want the same starting point and same bucket size. So this goes starts at 9.9. So maybe I want to start the whole thing at 9, and this goes to 15. This goes to 16.75. So maybe I'll go all the way up to 17. So I'll click on this pencil or right click, advanced edit. So this is going to essentially open up that same window that we had earlier. If you scroll down somewhere in the middle, the bucket size, let's go with a bucket size of 0.5, and then the slant labels, the minimum and the maximum. So I think we agreed that we're going to start with 9 and about 17. And then anything else that you might want to change here to customize your data set. So this is what I'll do, and I'll click on update, and now I'll do the same thing for the females, and right click on the chart, advanced edit again, and then look for the bucket size, set that to an appropriate bucket size. The minimum was 9 and then the maximum was 17, and then update. So here we can see that the discrepancy is here. You can see about the average, where the averages are comparatively now that we have the scale set up. Alright, so that's your histogram. The next is to compute the mean and standard deviation. So I'm going to make a little table here, and have the mean and standard deviation for the male and the female. And while I'm at it, I'm going to say I'm interested in finding the mean and standard deviation for all the data set. Alright, let's figure out the mean for male. So this is a key important function in Excel or in Google Sheets, also in Excel. And the function to find the mean is an average. So whenever you want to include a function in Excel or in Google or spreadsheets, in a spreadsheet, the function is called average. Now I know it's a mean, but if you type mean, you're not going to get anything here. But if you type average, or at least if you start typing average, you'll see that in Excel or in Sheets here, they give you a bunch of choices. And so I'm going to go ahead and select average. So it's numerical average value in data set, ignoring text. So that's a good piece of information. So you can continue to type average, or you can just click on average here. And then now it's going to ask for some things. It's going to ask for values. So I think I want the average of all the males. And so what they're asking for here now is the actual data set. So I'm live on this particular cell, but I'm going to scroll up here, and I'm going to click on the first data set over here, 13.1, and you see that this is your text file. This is your input in your cell. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Instead of clicking and dragging, which would work if you have a small amount of data, I'm just going to scroll down and hit shift and then click, and you see that this thing changed to B2 colon B248. So that means it's taking all those cells from B, column B, row 2 to column B, row 248. And then I'll press, I'll go back up here and then press close parentheses and then enter. So it looks like my average is, or my mean elbow diameter is 14.45, 14.46 centimeters. Alright, let's do the same for the female. And then I'm going to go to the cell. Again, it's a function, so I'm going to hit equals to, and then start typing average. and then if I find the actual command that I want, I'll hit average. I can click on that, and then it's going to open up for parentheses. Now I want to start this. I scrolled up. I want to start it from the first female measurement, and then I click on it one time, and then I scroll down to the last female measurement, shift, and then click, and then close the parentheses, and then enter. So here are my averages for male and female. Now if I want the average for all of them, I'm going to this says I'm allowed to select cells and then comma and select more cells, so I think that's what I'll do. I'll select the cells over here, and actually if you know that this goes from column B row 2 to column B row 248, you can literally just type that here. You can say B2 colon B 248, and then it will highlight all that. And then now I want to include the female measurements as well. I can hit, I know that it's in column D, and then it starts at 2 because it started at the same level as the males did, colon, and this time this ends all the way up to 261. So I'll say D 261 and then close my parentheses, and if I press enter, I see that. So remember that the key is equals average. This is your command, and then you're going to input your range, whatever your range is. Okay, so this is not part of what we're doing. I just thought maybe I'd throw this in there as a special note. Okay. The next thing is the standard deviation, and to find a standard deviation, it's going to be ST, and then if you just type ST, you get standard deviation. Now, if you look at them, standard deviation of a sample entire population, ST DEV is what we're looking for. So let's click on that, and then the values again. So my male values go from B2. I could just type it actually to B248, and then here's my standard deviation for that. For the females, STDEV, and then it's going to start with D2, and the data goes all the way down to D261. And here it goes. So another, so they have about the same standard deviation. Another trick to doing something like this is just clicking on a set that you already did, like this one. You can copy this. So I press Control C to copy it, and then let's press Enter to get out of that cell. And then now while I'm here, I'm going to go up to this function line and hit paste. So it copied exactly what I had. Now I don't want average, so I'm going to highlight average and change that command to standard deviation. And then if I press enter, that's my standard deviation. So because my data set looks like it's actually far apart from each other, they look like, you know, the means are far apart, I would have this as my standard deviation would be bigger compared to if I'm just looking at just the males or just the females. Okay. So now that you have these things, you can actually find out your typical values. So typical range of values for males. what we want to do is we want to figure out one standard deviation from the mean. So this is the mean, 14.45, and this is a standard deviation. So the lower limit, if you remember, is the mean minus the standard deviation, and then the upper limit is the mean plus the standard deviation. So to get the lower limit, since you already have the mean and standard deviations here, you can just click on these things using formulas. And so what I'll do is I'll hit equals, and then I'll do my subtraction just by clicking on these values. So I want 14.45, and then I'll hit the minus sign, minus the standard deviation, and I'll press enter. And then my upper is the same thing, so I'm going to press equals, and then I'll click on the mean. This time I'll hit the plus, and then I'll add the standard deviation to it by clicking on the standard deviation. So it looks like my typical range of values for males is 13.5, 13.6 to 15.6. And so if we look at that, 13.6 to 15.6, that makes total sense there. And do the same for females. Again, my lower value is for females. It's the standard deviation minus it's the mean. Sorry, it's the mean minus the standard deviation. But before I click on that, I have to say equals to. So I'm going to say, while I'm in this box over here, equals the mean minus the standard deviation, and then equals the mean plus the standard deviation for the upper. And so if I take a look at these two intervals, my interval going from 13.5, 13.6 to 15.3, and then this one goes from 11.5 to 13.2. Now if you look at that in the number line, these intervals don't intersect, and so we don't have a way to look at them. So I think that's about it with what you need to do for your projects. So I want to include a couple more things here just for the sake of working some stuff out. The 5-number summary can be found easily as well for using Excel or Google Sheets. So for the 5-number summary, we want the min, the Q1, the median, the Q3, and then the maximum. And then we'll do that for males and females. All right. Now I just want to take a peek at my range for the males here. It goes from B2 to B248. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then I'll press enter just so I don't change that value. I'm going to copy that array, that range of values, and then I'm going to put it here when I call on the min function. So the minimum for the males, to find that quickly, I'm going to say equals, and then the command is min. So if I start typing min, I get all these values here, or all these possible functions. So the min is a minimum value in the numeric data set. I'll click on that, and then I'll paste my values for the males, and then close the parentheses and enter. Alright, so that's my minimum. And now for the next function, the quartile. So I'm going to say equals to and quartile. And so here's my quartile function. And the data is still the same array, B2 to B248, comma, and then the quartile number. I want the first quartile, so I'm going to type 1, close parentheses, and there's my first quartile. I can actually use this quartile function again, but I'm going to use the median instead. So equals median. Here's the median value. I'll paste my information. And the third quartile value, paste my information, but then I need the third quartile here, so it's 3. And then finally the maximum is max. Alright, so this is my 5-number summary for the male measurements. So let's do the same thing for the female measurements, and for that, again, I'm going to take a peek at the array. That's my range of values. I'm going to copy that. So, and then sometimes, and I've done this a lot, sometimes you're at this particular function and then you want to include something in this new female cell here. If I click on that, sometimes it does something to that cell that you were originally on. So I just want you to be careful, and there's always an undo button in all the computer stuff that you're working on. Alright, for the females, for the minimum, equals min, and then paste my female values. And then the first quartile, so equals quartile, and then paste my female values for the first quartile. And then the next one, the median, and then my third quartile, and then my maximum. Okay. Alright, let's summarize the commands. For average, it's equals average and whatever the range is. For the standard deviation, equals STDEV, and then the range. So let's put a nice color on that and bold it. Here we did some addition within cells, so that's a good exercise to take. For you to find the minimum, the command is min, and then your range of values, whatever they may be. For the quartile, the first quartile, the command is quartile, and then the range of value, but this time you need to add on which quartile you're dealing with. And then the median is the median. The third quartile is the same as the first quartile with the range, but this time you type 3 in. And then the last one is your maximum, which is max, maximum. And then the range of values that you're dealing with. Alright, so remember that the min, the median, and the max fall under the 5-number summary and also fall under the quartile. So you can actually type quartile 0, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and quartile 4 for that. But I think the min, median, and max are easy enough to remember, and you don't have to type in an extra argument. Okay. So here hopefully would be a good start with your statistics. I know it's a lot, but you can always pause, rewind, or fast forward this video. So I hope this will help you with your project and your future projects. Good luck.